are you doing? How is everybody doing? Whew! I know I was here last week, but it does feel like it's been about a year. Wow, what a battle. Anyways, still not 100%, but here for you guys because I can't not, to be honest with you. I kind of missed working, which was the crazy part. We're going to get to that in a little bit. Welcome, everyone, to The Next Show Will Be Better. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you're having a good day so far. Tonight, we're going to do some reacts, which we haven't done in a while in the live show, to Scott's marching into Canterbury. And if we have time, I'd like to learn a little bit about this Powerhouse rail that's supposed to be going out in the north and to get your guys' feedback on that. If we get a chance to do that. And a little bit of catch up here and there. You know how it is. Mainly, I talk about my life in the UK and you guys try to trip me up. But it's all in good fun. Before we get to the fun stuff, though, if you guys could please like and share the stream so people know that we are live. Make sure that you're sending all your comments, questions, queries, super chats, and everything else into the conversation, into that chat, so that we can keep this conversation going throughout the stream. Consider subscribing if you're not already a subscriber. And if you are a subscriber, please consider joining our membership for all behind the scenes footage, some exclusive reaction podcasts, and lots of other fun stuff too. If you can't, no worries. I understand. I appreciate you spending your time with me tonight, and I hope you have a really good time. All right, so I want to start with a quick catch up. Yeah, I'm still kind of sick, but definitely getting better. I feel much better, but I still feel really tired. So I've just been taking it slow, drinking lots of fluids, all that kind of stuff. But unfortunately, the child has caught it and has tonsillitis. So Monday, even though I was feeling better yesterday, it was a wash because I had to get her to the doctor and get her prescription and make sure she was all squared away and taken care of and everything. And by dinner time, I was just beat. So yesterday was completely unproductive, professionally speaking, of course. And today I was somewhat productive, but I did get tired kind of early. So I know that there's been some content that I've missed and I'm late on, but I'm getting there, you guys. I swear, I'm getting back into form. This happens to me though. I for some reason the drop in temperature here in the UK always gets me. But we're getting there. But child's doing better. I'm doing better. Just slow going. And I really want to thank you guys for your patience and all your good wishes you've been posting on all the comments and everything. Appreciate much. What was the other thing? There's something else I wanted to catch up with you guys about. Oh, if you are a member, so we have a members only podcast that we do, which is called Mind the Culture Gap. And it's basically me reacting to British stuff, comedy, political stuff, whatever you guys send me, basically, that I never get a chance to catch up on and do live. So if you're not a member, you can become one, by the way, just FYI. We have a cute little, QR code you could scan for us. Because I missed last week's podcast because I didn't get a chance to get it finished and put up, you're going to have 2 this week. So you're going to have Saturday and Sunday podcasts. So just so that you know, look out for that. Also, there's going to be slight change in schedule as well because I'm trying to align some other things that are happening behind the scenes. So normally we have a newsletter blog that goes out, a newsletter that goes out on the 15th for our email list. But also we have a blog that goes out every Monday on our email list about quirks. Right now we're doing British quirks that I found, but basically just some like deeper dives from me about my life and just some observations and stuff like that. Just to continue some of these conversations that we have. Anyway, that's typically emailed to you guys on Monday. I'm going to switch that to Tuesday. So nothing's going to change for you guys. You don't have to do anything. I just want you to know you're going to get the email Tuesdays instead of Mondays from now on. I feel like there was something else. And the Mind the Culture Gap podcast, you're going to start getting on Sundays. That was the other thing. Again, you're going to start getting that on Sundays. So blog's going to be Tuesdays. Lives are on Tuesdays. Basically, it's a Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday schedule. Tuesdays, blogs and lives. Thursday is UKU US vlogs and some other things behind the scenes. And then Sundays, you'll get the Mind the Culture Gap podcast. And then you'll also get your Sunday nights vlogs. So anyways, that being said, let's check in with you guys and see who's here because, the show only gets better when y'all are here, right? So let's do it. I'll leave that up for a bit just so you guys have it. All right. So I know I saw a few early birds. I was a little late with the early birds because I was doing something. Diane is here. Something's caught my teeth. We do all the good stuff on the lives. Diane is here. Manny's here. How are you guys? I know Imogen is here. I kept saying his name wrong for a really long time. I'm glad to have you here, though, and I apologize again for the mispronunciation of your name. Roy Cousins is here. That's right. How are you, Roy? Glad to have you. Manny says, if I spontaneously post footy updates, feel free to tell me off. If England win tonight, we'll be the first European to qualify for next year's World Cup in USA, Canada, and Mexico. Oh, that's fun. I didn't know that was on. I think my partner's watching Wrestling with the Child. I'm sure he knows it's on, though. He might be watching it on his phone. I don't know. I'm sure he knows it's on, though. Usually I know that stuff because of him. Anyway, Richard Wilmot is here. Thank you so much for joining. John Broxton's here. Thank you for being here, John. Appreciate it. Richard, are you getting over a cold as well? It's the season. I hope you're feeling better. I am feeling better, John. Thank you so much for your good wishes. I appreciate it. Rodin is here. Glad to have you. All right. Listen, Richard. You posted like 6 comments about this. I don't think I'm going to eat it. All right. I'll think of a challenge before the end of the year. All right. But I don't think it's going to have to be a really lofty challenge because it's going to take a lot for me to eat that if you really want me to. You know what? You guys think of a challenge. Richard is all over me trying to have this salmonella that looks like frog sperm. Okay. And I am definitely not into it. So if you want me to do that, y'all got to rally around something that's really important. So I'll put out a post tomorrow of some things that I can think of. I think there's 1 or 2 goals we haven't hit for the Hickson Diaries yet that maybe we can rally around that. I will do it if you guys can rally for the channel on something or for a cause on something. But I'm not doing another 12-hour live. That was crazy. I don't know why I did that. I don't think I could ever do it again. Oh, Imogen says it's Powerhouse Rail would be an interesting topic because I'm a train driver. Great. I don't know if you want to smash the living hell out of it. You don't want to break it. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Do I not look great? When do I sleep? I don't really. I don't. I actually sleep a lot. That's a lie. I sleep a lot. I'm really productive when I can be. But the good thing, John, the reason I think that I've been really good lately is because I haven't been working a job outside the home. I've been doing everything from home. So it's just, I've been able to really monopolize my time. But I do actually still find time to nap. I napped today. It was like 3:00 and I was in the middle of editing something. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go take a nap. This can wait till tomorrow. And it was a nice nap too. It'll keep you out of trouble. Well, anything I could do to keep you guys out of trouble. I'm happy to do it. I just create all kinds of content. That's all I do all day long, every day. I'm all here for you guys, other than sleeping. Marsha's here. Hello, Marsha. How are you? Glad to have you. Hello, Glenn. Thank you for being here. Glad to have you too. And thank you for the good wishes. Pouring with rain in LA today. Really? That's unusual. But at least it feels like it doesn't feel like autumn if you're in LA, John. It feels like fall. Which, by the way, there's a vlog coming out about the autumn in the UK versus the fall in the US coming out in a couple weeks. Just, so you want to make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. I hear you, Manny. I like being busy. I don't like not having anything to do. I get too in my head when I have stuff to do, when I have nothing to do, or when I have too much downtime. Downtime is good, and I do try to balance it. But if I have too much downtime, if I don't like get out of the house and stuff, I get too much in my head, and then it's not pleasant at all. Semolina. Did I say salmonella? Semolina, it looked like frogs. Yeah, there's a short out there, John. You can go look at it. Semolina and tapioca. I don't know which one it was, but it looked like frog sperm. It's gross. Crust. Tapioca is the frog spawn. There you go. Richard worked it out for me. Semolina is just a milk pudding. Oh, I might do the semolina then. But I'm not having the I mean, like I said, we'll figure it out. We'll see. We'll see. I always set myself up, because what I do is I talk without thinking to you guys, and then it's out there, and then I feel obligated to do it. Anyways. Yeah, the memories of the high school puddings short. Yeah. That's actually a short from the podcast that I do for the Mind the Culture Gap for the members. I had to put it out there for everybody because it was just so gross. Yeah. All right. So I'm glad everyone's doing well. I really would like to do some reacts tonight if you guys don't mind. Let's do this one about the Powerhouse first, so we can see if Mick, because Mick MacArthur sent me the other one. I want to see if we can wait for him. Apple pie. Ooh, apple pie sounds good. The right one. It's the wrong one. All right. So, do you guys know about this Northern Rail thing? I haven't heard anything about it. Someone sent me this link today, and I was like, what the hell is this? But it looks like it'd be kind of cool. So I definitely wanted to see what was up. And I want to know your guys' takes on this, okay? Because obviously, a lot of you are more familiar with the areas, the northern, especially the north, than I am. So why Northern Powerhouse Rail is a really good idea from TLDR News.
One major announcement expected at the 2025 Labour Party conference in Liverpool was a commitment to Northern Powerhouse Rail, a proposed high-speed rail project linking Liverpool, Manchester and Leeds, and upgrading other...
I just want to make sure you guys can hear this. You all okay with the sound on that?
...lines across the north. Back in June, Chancellor Rachel Reeves said she would set out the government's plans for Northern Powerhouse Rail in the coming weeks, but no further announcements were made. Then, a week before the conference, the BBC reported that the government would not in fact announce Northern Powerhouse Rail in Starmer's speech as originally planned, despite previous assurances given to Northern mayors. So in this video, we'll explain the Northern Powerhouse Rail project, why it keeps being delayed, and whether it will ever happen. Never miss an episode and always feel in the loop by subscribing and ringing the bell. First, let's start by explaining Northern Powerhouse Rail, also known as NPR. The idea of a high-speed rail link between cities.
Okay, NPR is it's supposed to be like a left-leaning, it's a radio station, a talk radio station in America. It's supposed to be left-leaning, but it's actually really center. So now I'm thinking NPR of this political thing. Anyways.
In Northern England first became a serious proposal in 2014, when then Conservative Chancellor George Osborne gave a speech proposing a high-speed rail link between Manchester and Leeds, intended to boost the regional economy and allow northern cities to, quote, take on the world. Osborne argued that a high-speed rail link in the north should be considered as part of the second phase of the HS2 project, an ongoing high-speed rail project from London to Birmingham.
Okay, so this is London. The London Rail. This isn't London. I get it, but I'm just looking, I'm trying to determine where I am. London. These are the London, right? Okay. There's not already something that connects Liverpool, Manchester, and Leeds? That seems crazy, because that's like those are major cities up there.
And beyond, creating a northern global powerhouse and a more geographically balanced economy in Britain. This argument is based on the concept.
Wait, maybe I misunderstood that. So this is the initial plan. A new line. Yeah, there's not. Yeah, so there's nothing here, and the pink and the red's gone. It's just the blue. I can't believe there's no kind of like thing to go east to west.
Creating a northern global powerhouse and a more geographically balanced economy in Britain. This argument is based on the concept of economies of agglomeration, i.e. the idea that clustering urban centres with similar industries leads to higher economic productivity, more efficient supply chains and lower costs. This is also why the UK government is funding the Oxford-Cambridge Super Arc, a planned economic corridor linking the science and innovation hubs Oxford and Cambridge via Milton Keynes to drive growth.
Okay. Again, forgive me. I'm just trying to get my bearings, because I'm in this area. Okay. This one seems unnecessary to me, because why can't you just take these lines? But again, I might be missing something, because obviously.
Milton Keynes to drive growth. Anyway, in 2019, the Transport for the North, or TfN working group, published its Strategic Transport Plan, a 30-year vision for NPR and its potential benefits. The report claims that, by 2050, NPR would allow nearly 10 million people in the north to live within 90 minutes reach of multiple economic centres, compared to just 2 million today, and would triple the number of businesses able to access 4 or more cities or Manchester Airport within 90 minutes. Journey times would also be cut significantly, or even halved in some cases.
Wait, why are you using Monday?
So now it seems like it's quite difficult to get to live from Liverpool to Manchester or Leeds. Is it that difficult? I mean, is it like... I'm trying to, because we drove when we went, so I'm trying to visualize it. it seems like it is a long trip, right? And it's a long trip on train from London. So I guess that's what they're trying to like connect, which it's just so weird to me that it hasn't been before because your public transport system is pretty good compared to what I'm used to anyway. So, I mean, it just seems to me like obviously, and it should have been done by now. Maybe I'm just missing something. I don't know. Okay, let's go back.
The plan involves constructing a new line between Liverpool and Manchester via Warrington, a new, possibly underground hub station at Manchester Piccadilly, a new line between Manchester and Leeds via Bradford, which itself would need a new through station, plus existing line upgrades via Huddersfield, as well as upgrades to the current Leeds-Newcastle, Leeds-Hull, Sheffield-Hull and Manchester-Sheffield lines. Under Conservative Prime Minister Boris Johnson, the government pledged to fund the Manchester to Leeds section of the route.
Okay, I'm really sorry. This is a complete like left field comment. You guys don't know what that means because it's a baseball reference. But anyway, he looks like a Muppet. All right, with the hair and everything. Like he just looks like a Muppet. Why? And not like an actual Muppet, like not the British insult. I'm maybe trying to insult him. He looks like an actual puppet Muppet. Why he was elected? I don't look at this. Look at him. And from what I understand, he was a Muppet, but I don't know for sure because obviously I don't know his politics that well, but he looks like a Muppet. I'm just saying.
But
I really can't talk though because look at our president.
Scaled back some elements of the broader project as part of its 2021 Integrated Rail Plan. However, multiple delays due to the late publication of papers, rising costs during the COVID-19 pandemic, and uncertainty about value for money further stalled progress. For context, the way the government assesses which infrastructure projects to fund is using a value for money approach, which compares estimated costs against predicted benefits. What this means is that projects in areas with already high economic output, like London and the South East, are often prioritised over those in areas with lower economic output, where the benefits would take longer to materialise.
Here's the thing with that. That's a very corporate, like business oriented frame of mind when you do the value versus cost, right? That's like a bottom line risk assessment that a lot of businesses use, which is fine for those entities. But when you're talking about something like a public service, like public transport, I know you still have to weigh that in, but it shouldn't be the deciding factor because there's a public service element into it that is really important. And if you're not factoring that in, then, yes, you need to get value for the money that you're putting into it, obviously, but the part of the value isn't just the monetary value. Part of the value is the value that is actually going to bring to the neighborhoods, the communities, and the people that thrive in those communities and connect them to other opportunities in the UK. So if you're not considering that, then that's bullshit for a public service.
But the downside of this is that economic growth and the wealth created by it become increasingly concentrated in the former regions, while others risk falling further behind. Anyway, another concern about NPR was whether it could be delivered without the northern backbone of HS2, as several sections of the track, as well as the planned new hub stations at Liverpool and Manchester Airport, were meant to serve both HS2 and NPR. So, in 2023, when then Prime Minister Rishi Sunak announced that the government was scrapping all of HS2's Phase 2, both its northern sections, due to delays and rising costs, this also impacted NPR, forcing a major rethink about how the project would take shape. Then, in 2024, the Labour government took office, pledging to invest more outside London and the South East. In October 2024, Reeves announced funding for one section of NPR, the Trans-Pennine Upgrade, electrifying the route from Manchester to York via Huddersfield and Leeds. Then, in June, Reeves said she would set out the government's ambitions for NPR in the coming weeks, with plans for the rail line alongside a Northern Corridor regeneration project expected before or at the Labour conference in September. However, only a week before the conference, the BBC reported that the project had been delayed and that a planned announcement about NPR had been dropped from Starmer's speech. According to a source, this was because the government is in a process of extended tyre kicking to ensure the project is fully scoped out before pushing ahead.
Listen, it's called Connect Team, and it's...
Okay. So First of all, over 10 years. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, I know COVID and everything, but that shouldn't be 10 years long. Also, like, it shouldn't be an issue if you're connecting workers, you're connecting economies, and obviously the economy in the north needs help, right? So part of it is connecting people that can actually get there fast, tourists being able to access it that come to London, etc. So, like, I don't know, to me it's not even a question. I really don't understand why it hasn't been done already. I'm completely baffled by that. Um I understand that they don't want it to look bad by, like, giving it a planned date and then saying it's not gonna make it again like they did before, but I don't understand uh, why it's taking this long, I guess. That's
Bottleneck?
that's probably where I am. I just don't understand why it's taking so long. I don't understand why a lot of things take so long, but I could probably guess.
Motion. Need leads?
But this didn't go down well with the Labour mayors of Liverpool and Greater Manchester, with Greater Manchester Mayor Andy Burnham calling the delay disappointing, and a source close to him telling the BBC, any more tyre kicking and there will be no tyre left. The government's decision also came several weeks after Reform said they would scrap the project entirely, with Reform Deputy Leader Richard Tice claiming that the voters of the North do not want, and have never wanted, a handful of high-speed rail lines, serving a handful of big cities at fares only business people on expenses can afford.
All right, those of you who are in the North, or those of you who have ever lived in the North, know people in the North, all that, put in the chat whether or not that's true or not. I'm just curious.
However, Tice is entirely wrong according to a recent YouGov survey, which found that 69% of Northerners and 62% of Brits overall do in fact support a high-speed rail link.
That was where I was going to go. Like, my thought process was who would say no, because it looks like, I don't understand why it hasn't been done before. Only because your infrastructure for your public transport systems are just so much better than anything I've ever seen personally. So it seems logical. It doesn't seem like something that people would oppose. And Reform, from my personal research, only my opinion, not a political scholar, but Reform tends to err on the side of businesses and funneling money away from public services, from what I've done, of all the research I've done. So that's why I was asking you guys. I am still curious, though, what you guys think of this. So make sure that you're putting your comments in the chat. We'll get to it in a few minutes when this is over.
Between cities in the north, while only 16% of Northerners and 17% of Brits overall oppose it. The government's delay on NPR has also been criticised by figures from other parties, such as the leader of Liverpool's opposition Liberal Democrats, Carl Cashman, who told the BBC, "In Liverpool, we have a Labour council, a Labour Metro Mayor, nothing but Labour MPs, and a Labour government, and we still can't get anything meaningful."
Wow. That is damning. That is damning to the party. I mean, you have a Labour government in Parliament, and you have a Labour government in the city, and you can't get anything done. That's ridiculous.
We should clarify, though, that Starmer has said the government remains committed to the project, so it does still look likely to happen. Starmer added, "While I do understand the frustration, I think that anyone who looks at the mess the last government made of HS2 would say getting it right matters." Ultimately, though, Labour may well have legitimate reasons to delay NPR, but U-turning on their planned announcement builds into an existing perception of poor communication from Starmer's government. More crucially, as some commentators have pointed out, Labour's foot-dragging on NPR is also a potential political misstep, as the party risks losing dozens of its traditional red wall constituencies in the north to...
Wow, all of this light blue is Reform? Holy shit, that's not good. Yeah, they need to start delivering. They need to start delivering bucket loads
to Reform at the next election. Failing to deliver what many northern voters feel are long overdue improvements to rail in the region risks only reinforcing a belief that Labour has abandoned them. Now, the plans for Northern Powerhouse Rail are constantly changing and updating as more and more outlets are reporting on it. Right now, there are 10 sources reporting on it, with most of the coverage coming from the centre. If we dive a bit deeper, we can see that the left focuses more on the delays, and the centre frames the plans as set to be revealed in the coming weeks. This type of analysis is why Ground News has been my favourite way to stay up to date with the news since 2023, so I want to thank them for sponsoring this video. It's no secret by this point just how much we're fans of Ground News. They've been long-time supporters of...
I actually used Ground News a little bit in America. It's really good. They didn't sponsor me or anything either, but
tons of articles worldwide.
It's really good. They're really good at filtering out the bullshit. Just FYI. Wow, this is like...
Ground News has even been recognised by the Nobel. Speaking of bias, their brilliant blind spot feed allows for you to fully expand your...
I know they got to do the commercials because they got to pay the bills, but...
Important to know the full story, and Ground News ensures that you always will. If you're curious and committed to understanding what's really going on in the world, like us, then Ground News is the tool that you've been looking for. That's why we've partnered with them to give TLDR viewers 40% off their unlimited access Vantage plan. Subscribe through the link in the description, visit ground.news/TLDR, or scan the QR code on screen. By subscribing, you're also supporting an independent news platform that's working to make the media landscape more transparent and balanced.
All right, if I had known that commercial was the very end, then I would not have subjected you guys to it. So, but anyway, Ground News is actually really good. So basically, it's been in the works for a decade. So that means Reform proposed it, or it was supposed to have started under Reform. Correct me if I'm wrong. And delays, cost. We have no money for anything. Sorry, not Reform. Tories. Yeah. You guys have so many parties. Okay. And then it delayed. And of course, it was one of the key things that Labour said they were going to take on when they took government. And of course, now it's being delayed. Of course, they're throwing their hands up saying, we just want to make sure it's safe and it's still a key project. But at the end of the day, it's not getting done. And the Labour really needs to do it if they want to keep any northern territories. That's basically the gist of it, right? It looks like it should be done. I don't know what the HS2 one was, but I don't understand why that's been delayed either. That sounds like it's kind of gratuitous. The delays that they don't want to do it anymore seems silly. I don't know why all of these were not, again, it's like the fifth time I said it, but I don't understand why all these cities weren't connected anyway. Clearly, the areas want it. Clearly, it is wanted by the entire UK, and clearly it would be a huge win for the Labour government. So it seems a little bit ridiculous that they're not going all in on it. So unless it's some kind of major thing, I just don't see it. You've had a decade to check the tires. You know what I'm saying? Like, that to me is intentional delay, in my opinion. Wondering what you guys think, though. As always, let's see what's up. I just got to catch up where we were. Everyone remember where we parked. Yeah, Manny, doing nothing just drives me crazy. I don't mind having downtime, but even when we have downtime, after like half an hour or so, I'm like grabbing my laptop or my phone and doing something. Like, I can't even just sit and watch an entire program. Just sitting down. Even when we were in America, I wasn't doing any of this stuff. I would still like paint my nails while we watch TV, or, you know, something like that. I would never like just sit around. It's just not me. I just can't do it. There we go. The apple pie, remember. All right. Ew, what are you doing? You want me to eat tapioca while wearing an inflatable frog suit? I don't even know what to say to you anymore, Richard. Oh boy. So Broxton says, when I lived in Sheffield, it took me 3 hours on the train to London. Anything that might improve that is good. I would think. Hold on. If I'm going to do this properly, I'm going to have to pull up a map so I know where we are. I have a map, but that's too far away for you guys. Mm. Which one is right? I don't want to buy one. I just want to look at one. All right, this one looks good. All right, let me pull this one up for y'all. Just so that I can. Okay. So Sheffield is not listed on here, so that helps. Sheffield's. All right, this isn't going to work. Never mind. I'll do something else. Okay, there is Sheffield. This is what we'll do. So this is Sheffield. And where did you say you were going, bro? Sheffield to London. Yeah, okay. Yeah, like it seems like that should be a lot easier. I remember I think I was looking for a train to get to Liverpool once or something like that. And it was kind of involved even. It's just like, there's not a direct? That's fucking weird. Like, that's 3 hours. I mean, on a train, it seems like you might as well just drive. What's the point? It's almost like America, where you might as well just drive because it's a pain in the ass. National Public Radio. Yes, Broxton. Do you listen to NPR? I used to listen to it in America for a while, and then it got to be a little establishment for me. Hi, Neil. No problem. Thanks for joining us. Glad to have you. I hope you had a good holiday. East Midlands is between Nottingham and Derby. All right, so there, that right? Okay. I got my map. So Imogen says the Trans-Pennine upgrades are already underway. There is no way a brand new line will be built through the Pennines. Where's the Pennines? I don't understand. Am I missing something? I know what did she say? That there is a combination of like upgrades and new lines that need to be laid? Hello, British Knight, aka Mini Ninja One. Love your handle. Thanks for joining us. Britain has a long history of proposing high-speed rail links, then delaying them for years, going 3 times over budget and producing something slow and expensive. See, this is what gets me, right? Is there's a train station near us that is an international train station, but the international side has been closed down. But it's a big ass building and the rails it's all built and everything. It was closed down during COVID, which makes sense, but it's never been reopened. And we're like, all of that space, everything, they're not doing anything with it. It's just sitting there. Every time we pass it, I'm like, what's the point? So I'm like, what? Like, do something. Like, don't tell me you don't have money. because you've built that. So you have to be able to use that or convert it into something, right? Politics makes me crazy. Marcia says London to Glasgow is only 55 quid. Where's Glasgow again? Glasgow is west, right? Oh, Glasgow is north, like by Edinburgh. It's only 55 quid? That seems wrong for some reason, Marcia. The only reason it feels wrong is because I feel like we pay around that to get to London from where we are in the southeast. And it's definitely not that far. That's the only reason I'm questioning it. Roxanne says very difficult geography between Leeds and Manchester, high altitude, bad weather, moors and hills. Those moors, they got you. Yeah, I can understand that. But I don't know. It seems like it just seems like there should be a way. Right? Manny's got the football updates. Richard, you're under Milton Keynes. Is it fun? Fun, bro. Sorry. Liverpool to Manchester is easy. There's a line between Liverpool and Manchester. I thought it would be weird if there wasn't, because they're both such big cities. Manchester to Sheffield or Leeds is harder because of the geography. All right, that makes more sense. Okay, so I'm not crazy. All right. So Imogen says the upgrades underway will knock about 7 minutes off of Manchester to Leeds. That's it. Oh. Interesting point. A lot of the railways were done in the 1840s. Okay, well, they clearly need to be upgraded, right? They clearly need to be updated into, I don't know, the 21st. I'm not even Jesus Christ. The late 20th century would be good. We have like the same issues. Like nothing's updated since like the 1900s. And you're like, they're complaining that, wires are falling and stuff. And like, we haven't changed them since you put them up 100 years ago. Like, because no one wants to spend any money on anything. They want to spend money on themselves, and that's it. Oh, you guys are saying that Boris Johnson is a muffin. He just looks like it, man. I just could never get over it. I'm like, he just looks like a Muppet. It's a cultivated persona intended to disarm people with its odd appearance. All right, anything to me, anybody that has to try that hard shouldn't be trusted. I'm sorry. If you gotta try that hard, you're hiding something. Clearly, he was untrustworthy, right? Imogen says it's all fantasy stuff. The problem is it won't benefit London. If something doesn't benefit London, it doesn't get built. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's how it shouldn't be, because there's a whole UK outside of London. Everyone likes to remind me of that all the time. And it's fine. I don't get it. There is. And a lot of people need to see it. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. All these places are great. They have tons to offer. But nobody can get to them easily. And that's why no one goes. And now industry is suffering, which means that people are losing their jobs and their livelihoods. So the UK's economy is just going to go down and down. And you saw all of those reforms, right? Like all those areas that have reform up north, probably because the Tories and the Labour governments haven't been delivering. And we have the same issue with in the United States. The only reason Trump got elected the many times as he did is because the freaking Democrats never deliver on anything. They're just a whole lot of talk and they don't do anything. So people just bounce back and forth between the lesser two evils in each freaking election. And then everyone's losing their freaking homes and stuff. You all gotta, I don't mean to say this to you guys specifically. I'm just saying this in general to anyone that watches this part of the segment. The UK needs to be really careful because the reform looks a lot like MAGA on a lot of levels, okay? And I'm just speaking from experience. Maybe they're completely wrong. Maybe they'll like surprise me and I'm completely wrong. But they look a lot like MAGA. There's a lot of show, there's a lot of talk of freedom, there's a lot of talk of taking back your country and all that BS. And I can just see the trajectory being, tax cuts for the rich and everyone else being left behind, because that's what's happened in America. So, and it's not just Trump, to be fair, but they had just mimic a lot of that MAGA movement stuff. So just be really careful because they're getting a lot of support, and it doesn't look like it's gonna be fantastic for the country. It most likely, because they're all politicians at the end of the day anyway, so you can't really fully trust any of them because their lips are moving. You know what I'm saying? So like you have to be really careful. Anyway, sorry. I care about this country. I care about this land that I live in, and I don't want it to fall into terrible, awful traps like America did, not just for my own personal survival, just because I see Americans suffering and I don't want anyone else to suffer like that. They shouldn't even be suffering like that. It just frustrates me because politicians are more worried about themselves and their jobs, their pockets. Fucking anyway, sorry. The live stream is supposed to be fun. My bad. Johnson, like Trump, is a great example of just how bad he had to act to get people to underestimate him. Yeah. So I'm saying, if you gotta be all fake about stuff, it's like the same thing with Trump. You gotta make sure your hair is perfect and do tans and makeups and stuff just to get people to like you, and you got some problems. Starmer was humiliated in Israel by Trump. What a prune. For context, London's Crossrail project was planned in the 80s. They have also never managed the high-speed rail we were supposed to have on our end of the Channel Tunnel. His sister's on LBC. Who, Boris Johnson's? He says Bojo is a total knob. They could have ended it with Tice's wrong. Tice is Farage's sidekick. Farage is Trump's UK tribute act. Go figure. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Like if you go back and look at some of the 2015, 2016 Trump rallies and try to tell me that there's not huge similarities between what Farage is doing with reform right now and how he is creating the crowds and support right now. Wasn't Farage the guy that convinced all of the UK to do Brexit? This is the same guy, right? I feel like that's the same guy. How did that work out for y'all? Reform is in the pocket of a rich donor. That tracks. Again, that's a fair point, Marja. It is time for change throughout the United States, throughout the United Kingdom, throughout the world. Like there is a lot of stuff that just needs to. I am not a political scholar, okay? But budgets are not complicated. You have the money or you don't have the money. When you don't have the money for everything, which is most of the time, right? You prioritize the needs, what's going to be an investment that's going to come back, and then your wants all the way at the bottom. Problem is, politicians have people paying them and talking crap in their ear, and they take the wants and move them up above the needs, and then everything else gets pushed down, and maybe you're lucky if they throw you a bone for an extra quid or two for the NHS. That's how it works, but it shouldn't. It's really not complicated. It's not. Anyone who's got a moral compass and is making decisions on their own, not with someone else's influence, would be able to figure it out. But most of them aren't. That's why you can't trust any of them. They always have their own interests and agendas in mind for themselves, not like the interest and agenda for the people, most of the time. It's a symptom of the global gradual shift to the right. Investment in public services by government is seen as a bad thing, which they believe should be handled by private enterprise. Well, everything in the US is now privatized. Everything. How's that working out for people? That's what I tell people. When they talk about privatizing shit, I'm like, I literally lived on the system for 4 decades, guys. It's not a good system. It's not. It's a terrible system. The only thing that's not privatized right now is education, which they're pretty much going that route. I bet you in the next couple of years, it'll be almost all privatized. Almost all of the infrastructure is privatized now. The military's privatized. The postal service is pretty much privatized. Obviously, you know, the medical system is privatized. There's like no public services. So public transport, I think, is privatized in certain areas. Like the police and the, like, there are areas that don't even have like firemen. Like paid firemen by the city. Like they're volunteers. They have a full-time job and they volunteer because that's all that the city can afford. Firemen. You don't want that, y'all. You don't want it. Trust me. It's terrible. Yeah, it's the problem. That's the exact problem, Roxanne. You're 100% right. It's always profits over people. Always. And they will pay themselves bonuses and lay off employees. I've seen it happen 1,000 times. Terrible. Musk is behind Tommy Robinson's fees. Kind of makes sense, to be honest, because Musk is pretty right-wing. He says he's not, but he is. Broderick, hello. Thank you for joining. Cross-pinning routes exist or have existed, but those that still exist are not particularly fast. So that would just be an upgrade that they're looking at then? British Knight says, what I'd really love to see is the government invest in a delivery network, as good as Amazon's, but available to all small and medium businesses. Yeah, it's entirely possible. Here's the problem, though. The investment that you make on stuff like that takes a while to come back. They just want an immediate return. Ugh. John Lilburn's here. Thank you for joining us, John. What happened with the SDLP in the 80s? I don't know what the SDLP is. Social Democratic and Labour Party. An Irish National Political Party in Northern Ireland. Currently 8 members in Northern Ireland, Ireland Assembly, and 2 members in Parliament. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Clearly. But I'm happy to learn. The Social Democratic Party, Marja says, it was established in 1990. The current party traces its origin to Social Democrats Party, which was formed in 1981. All right, you guys have so many parties. It's really hard for me to follow, but I'm trying. So neither of these parties exist anymore, the SDLP and SDP, the SDLP and the SDP, neither of them exist any longer. Is that what you're telling me? No, they said the SDLP has some members. Okay. Geology is a bitch when doing engineering projects. Yeah, I hear you, Richard. I mean, we had similar issues when we were expanding west because there's so many mountain ranges and stuff that we had to go through. So I get it, and that was a long time ago. I get it, but I mean, See, that's the thing, right? Like, I see this happen a lot with Reform and some of the other parties. I see this happen a lot with Tories and the Labour Party as well. They just start assigning blame. Like, they just start yelling, "Well, what about you? Well, what about you? What about you? You did this and you did this." Guys, like, run the fucking country, right? And the smaller parties need to organize, need to form coalitions, need to get support. Like, stop doing, like, I understand you need to do some of these panels and stuff in order to get recognition and build, but the name calling comes from everywhere. It's ridiculous. Just do your fucking job. Just say the facts and let them, hang themselves. Give them enough rope to hang themselves with. Done. It's not complicated. It's only complicated when you're trying to conceal shit. Marja says the Green Party is in the red, meaning they have no money. The Green Party is the newer party, right? I think you mean they have no money, right? Or you mean they're socialist or communist? I'm not sure. Tories and Reform are basically the same thing these days. Jesus, that's scary. Thatcher ruined the independence of the Blessed Isles. Thatcher was a huge Reagan fan, so if she followed any of Reagan's policies, I'm sure that caused a whirlwind of economic declines and downfalls. Both are subject to corporate interests rather than actually representing their nation or voters. So in America, we have what a lot of people call legalized bribes. So you have the corporations and businesses can actually donate to the campaigns of politicians, from federal, like national, all the way down to local. So that's legal in America. And they do these things called corporate PACs. So they'll, like, 5 or 6 businesses from a certain industry will pull all their money together and, like, donate it to one specific candidate's campaign to make sure they get elected. Also illegal. Do you have stuff like that here? Because I thought you had better campaign finance laws than we did, but I don't really know for sure. Or is it something that's kind of like under the radar kind of thing? Because like the Elon Musk thing, like he's not actually paying directly into the Reform Party, but he's doing things on the side to get that money in. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point, Richard. It's a very good point. Cost overruns because they built tunnels so as not to affect house prices in the home countries. Okay. I mean, I don't want to say you shouldn't do that, you know what I mean? But that's a choice that you make, right? During the construction period, during the planning period. It's like you can't just disrupt people's homes. China builds very quickly, no bull tape. Yeah, but that's because they can. When you have an authoritarian regime, that you can get things done a lot faster, by far. And they've been taking advantage of that over the last couple decades, which is why they're so economically solid right now. What's the home counties, guys? Home counties refers to the English counties that surround London, primarily Berkshire, Buckinghamshire, Essex, Hertfordshire, Kent, and Surrey. Oh, okay. I'm in the home counties, apparently. These counties are named for the historical significance of being home to people who commuted to the capital for work, and sometimes include neighboring areas like Sussex. While there are no official definitions, the counties bordering London are consistently included. Oh, okay. Isn't what Portland's plan to resist Trump? I actually haven't been following. I know like headlines about it. I haven't really been following that because I've been sick. I'm like way behind on all my news. I think the government are totally bribed by Chinese and Russian money. I know there's probably at least people in all the government, in at least all the key governments that are. I know there's definitely politicians in America that are bribed by Russia. I don't know about China because China is considered a big enemy of America. So I would find that hard to believe. But I do know that we had there was a mayor, I think, of New York who got accused of accepting bribes from Turkey. And then there was the mayor of New Jersey actually got caught taking bribes from Saudi Arabians, I think. So, I mean, I know there is Russian money in like the news media and stuff, and in some of the social media stuff in America. I don't know what the only reason I don't think China money is because China's a huge enemy of America right now, and it has been for about a decade or so. That's the only reason I don't think so. The only reason they're really an enemy is because they have an economic stronghold on a lot of countries that America doesn't. But it's so corrupt. The system's so corrupt from all sides, not just America, all sides. So I wouldn't be surprised. It's okay, Rodden. Thank you for being here. Oh, sorry you missed it, but you can watch it on the replay, hopefully. All right. Manny's got an update. Halftime, England will be going to a World Cup. Good to know. Now I can sleep tonight. England always likes to raise hopes early so they can attract a bigger crowd to watch them lose later. Not for nothing, but you kind of got a point there. Have the cup in the US so far. For the nation that actually invented railways, we have really let ourselves down, sings the Victorians. Pennines. Thank you for that. Pennines. Okay, it's a mountain range between Yorkshire and Lancs, Manchester. And Diane is in the Pennine. Ah. Politicians are easily bought. Yeah, that's the problem. I heard a story the other day that there is an actual lobby group in America. I don't know if this is true or not. There's a lobby group in America that is it's a huge lobby. I'm not going to say it because I don't know if it's true or not. There's a huge lobby in America, and they have a convention every year, and they send all American politicians all go to get contributions to their campaigns, right? And apparently, instead of like a name tag, they get like a QR code, like I have here to join as a member. It's distinct QR code for each congressperson. So they talk to all these people that are members of this lobby, all these business entities and everything. And if the business person likes them and wants to contribute, they scan them, literally scan them with their phone, like QR code, and so they can donate. Like they're actually literally buying them. I don't want to say who it is or anything because I don't know if it's 100% true, but it does not surprise. I was like, oh yeah. The scariest part was that I was like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. I could totally see that happening. Ashford International was part of the HS1 Channel Tunnel, but not since the service changed. Yeah. So crazy. But it's just been a long time. I understand why it was closed down. I mean, you just and if you need to not reopen it because it doesn't make sense to reopen it anymore, stuff like that happens. Factories close down, all that. That's fine. But you have a housing crisis in this I keep saying this country, in this area, right? You have a housing crisis in the UK overall. That you have empty buildings sitting there. Like, invest in creating flats or something for those buildings. Like, think outside the box. The sad truth is mainly about budgets, Mandy, or specifically how government budgets work. They have a budget for running costs. To afford upgrades and new stuff, they usually have to partner. And by partner, we mean open up corporate vampires who only want to generate a new locked-in revenue source and not a service. I hear you. I understand that's how most governments work, to be fair, Mini Ninja. It's the same thing. They use the same excuse in America. Okay. And of course, I'm coming off of primarily American politics still. But my thing is that budgets are only complicated when you make them complicated. And sometimes you have to cut some things, and they're things that are okay to cut. I don't know about the UK. I'm not speaking about the UK because I am not versed on it. But I know in the US that there's lots of stuff that we could cut. Like, we have the biggest military budget. We have like $1 trillion military budget, you guys. We don't need that. No one's attacking us. We're not really at war unless we're attacking other people. We don't need it, right? That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's not, I shouldn't say it's not complicated, because of course prioritizing is always complicated. It can always get complicated, right? But what I'm saying is that shouldn't be how governments work. You shouldn't need to partner with private entities in order to get anything done. Government should be able to get things done on their own. And they used to be able to. So they're still able to. They still could if they wanted to. It just means that you have to say no to some things. It means you might have to take some cuts for yourself. And it means you might have to be the bad guy on something today, but in the long run will actually benefit, the nation. So I know it's not hard, but I know it's not 100% easy. And I know there are sometimes you make some hard choices, but if the end goal is worth it to you, then you should be able to make those choices, period. And if you come into power with an agenda saying you're going to have these things done, and then all you do is make excuses for 5 years, no wonder you get kicked out. And no wonder people start going to extreme groups, because they haven't had to prove that they're actually going to do anything yet. So they haven't let anyone down yet. So there's hope in those groups. Whether it's false hope or not, still hope. That's what the established parties in all nations don't understand. 48 pounds one way. So was the 55 pounds that you quoted earlier, Marge, or was that one way, or is that two ways? Was that 2 ways? Round trip. 2 ways. I have a Liverpool friend who says drive to Liverpool and get a train home. Why? Do they want to steal your car? Why would you do that? Is that like traffic and stuff, probably, Richard? It's what I was thinking, Marsha. It's clear they want to sell that shit for parts. I have heard that about Scousers. We don't have TJ here to get offended. Thank you for being a part of our community, Broderick. Most imports arrive on the South Coast. A high-speed train system should relieve the current main lines for freight. Makes sense to me. Are you? You're going to the anti-Trump oh, cool. If you feel comfortable and you're safe, okay, because your safety is obviously priority in any event that you do. But if you could get some footage and send it to me, I'd be interested to see that. Just curious of how that could go. British Knight said, I'll give you a great example. The Northern Line, London Tube, had 40-year-old wires and signals. To get new trains, they had to partner with the maker. So the Northern Line ended up with new trains that it rents from the manufacturer. Guys, that's the first step to going private. Be careful. That's the first step to privatizing. That's true. Whew. and that would kill it? Is that because of the Meghan Markle thing? Oh, they say the new Piccadilly line trains don't actually fit the tunnels and platforms. Jesus Christ. I mean, I know you always have kinks when you have big construction projects, right? Any construction project, you have kinks, but come on, you don't know that? Dow Rathgrub, interesting candle. Thank you for joining us. There are links between Steve Bannon and Nigel Farage. Do you guys know who Steve Bannon is? I mean, obviously, Dalrath does, but yes, Farage was the Brexit guy. That's what I thought. He wasn't in the government, and he wasn't the actual head of the Brexit campaign. He just was on TV all the time talking about it. This is my thing. Any panel I was on with him, any interview, like if I was a reporter doing an interview with him, any of that, I would ask him about that constantly and say, do you still think that's a good idea? Do you still think it's good for the economy? Do you still think that the UK, supports it? And I would bring stats. Like anytime he was on, I wouldn't let anyone forget. Mandy for president. Oh my God. No, it's way too much friggin' responsibility. I'll just be a little aide de camp, let's be a little advisor. Let's do the budget behind the scenes and let whoever's president take credit for it. Hi, Disco. Glad you could make it. I hope you're doing well. Thanks for being here. I know. All right. I mean, it was kind of bittersweet because I was really excited actually the first time when I first heard about it. But I heard also, and again, this is only one news reel and I haven't looked into it, so I don't know if it's true, but I've heard that the person who did win is actually connected to Trump, under the radar. So I'm not saying it has anything to do with the Peace Prize part. I don't know anything about that, but that means that they're corrupt. That's all, which makes me question anything they do. That's the thing. It's not. Here's the thing, Imogen. Sorry, I had to think about it just to make sure I was doing it properly. Imogen, it's not that they're stupid. Okay, it's that most people, and think about it because we've all been there at one capacity or another in our lives. Most people today are just so angry and unsure and feel so inadequate about their situation, whether it be economically, whether it be socially, whether it be an age thing, like just getting older thing, whether it be just all the changes in the world and they feel like it's in their living room, even though it might not be. there's so much going on in the world around us, and everyone is so consumed with the fear of the unknown and the fear that they're going to be negatively affected somehow. And you combine that with the fact that everyone's having trouble paying bills, putting food on the table, they're worried about their house, they're worried about their kids and their future. If someone's well-being is taken care of, if their necessities are taken care of, they're less likely to fall for this bullshit. So while I do believe in autonomy, right, and you take responsibility for the decisions that you make, and if you're following reform, then you need to be aware that you're following reform and what it actually represents. But at the same time, people are tired, people are angry, people are not thinking straight, people's needs are not met. If you were Labour or Tory or any of the other parties and you were able to meet those demands, you were able to actually have those help those people become whole, make sure that they had everything they needed to survive and all of those worries were off of their plate, or at least completely like minimized to a manageable level, they wouldn't even be looking at that. They'd be saying, oh my God, thank God Labour's here. Thank God Tories are here. They saved me. I want to vote for that. Like, they wouldn't even be thinking outside of anybody else. The reason they are is because nobody's delivering for them in the standard parties. This is, you reap what you sow. When you go decades without helping the average person, eventually they're going to leave you. And usually it's for someone that's horrible for the country, horrible for the land. Reform never get any kickback from interviews. Net zero, £50 per house for Brexit, £1,700 per person. There's a lot that people don't push back on in general, and I don't think it's exclusive to the UK by any means. Yeah, I'm worried about that too, Richard. I mean, the hostages got returned and a bunch of prisoners got released, but my concern is there are some clauses, and there's only phase 1 and there's plenty of other phases they haven't agreed to yet. That's my first concern. What's in the other phases? Number 2, there's still a clause in the phase 1 that says something about like Israel can still defend itself, and that's the excuse they've been using the whole time. So just fingers crossed. I just don't know. I just don't want anyone else to die. I don't want any more kids to get starved to death. Like, just anyways, we got super political in this one, guys. I wasn't planning on it, to be fair. But I mean, thank you for indulging me and educating me as well. Just about every imaginable government investment these days is done under PPI, private partner initiative, meaning corporate co-founders who own shares in whatever results. Yep. That doesn't surprise me, and that's really bad because that's the first step to privatizing everything. So be careful, guys. Tony Blair Institute. Is that a typo there, Marsha? That's what it is, Richard. They just want the Riviera. I think Tony Blair and poop is correct. Yeah, I think that was a Freudian slip. The US and the UK both need to use proportional representation. The Green Party just passed, I assume you mean 100K. I mean, that's good, but it's still not enough, right? Green Party's got some good ideas. I'm still a little nervous. They keep changing leadership, so that's not a really good sign. But they have some good ideas. They're creating the supercats, starting the corporate takeover of Washington. Pretty much. Similar stuff here, though technically not legal. Lobbying still exists and happens, just with more use of offshore accounts giving ex-MPs automatic paid directorships after all. Yeah, that revolving door thing happens in America as well. Only John Broxton, you're absolutely right. Citizens United, that was the case basically where of corporations like sued. I can't remember if it was the American government, or if it was a different entity, but they basically were saying that they had a right as businesses to contribute to campaign contributions under the freedom of speech, and the Supreme Court upheld it. So that's what made bribery legal in America. Now there's bribery out the friggin' wazoo, people scanning you to buy you. Have you heard of Fort Necessity in Pennsylvania? I actually have not. Is that in Western Pennsylvania or Eastern Pennsylvania? Let's find out. Farmington. Oh, Farmington, I don't think was very far from where I lived. Farmington sounds familiar. Oh no, Farmington's closer to Pittsburgh. I wonder why Farmington sounds familiar. It's probably just because it's a city. It could be the fort, to be honest, but no, I hadn't heard of it. It's close to the. Maybe I drove through Farmington when I was driving to West Virginia. That could be. I hadn't heard anything about it. The Battle of the Great Meadows took place on July 3rd in 1754. The engagement, along with a May 28th skirmish known as the Battle of Jumonville Glen, was the first military combat experience for George Washington, who was later selected as commander of the Continental Army during the American Revolutionary War by the Second Continental Congress in Philadelphia. The Battle of Fort Necessity began the French and Indian War. Okay. Which later spiraled into the global conflict known as the 7 Years' War. Washington built Fort Necessity as an alpine meadow west of the summit of a pass through the Laurel Highlands of the Allegheny Mountains. Another pass nearby leads to Confluence, Pennsylvania. To the west, Nema-Collins Trail begins its descent into Uniontown, Pennsylvania, and other parts of Fayette County, along with the relatively low altitudes of Allegheny Plateau. Did you notice that I didn't have a problem saying any of those words? The tunnels were not in the original planning. They were put in because it would upset the people that voted Tory. Tunnels cost 10 times more to build than the normal track. I mean, that one's kind of like that. That's a judgment call, depending on the situation, right? Like that one's a judgment call. But they should have planned. Don't you think you should have planned? Like, you should have known it was going to go through housing developments. You didn't think of that ahead of time. That's the part I'm talking about, to find a solution. But anyways, just my thoughts. Farage may have been bribed by the Russians. His friend and reform leader in Wales has pleaded guilty to taking bribes from Russia. He's connected to Steve Bannon, and he probably did, because Steve Bannon definitely did. They will give them money, then expose them to destabilize the so-called West. Lord of the Rings. Jubilee Line extension costs £609 million per mile. The project costs nearly 10 times more per mile than Madrid's metro extension, which cost $64 million. Jesus. Yes, the entire world is, well, the entire world isn't, because the fat cats are doing fine, but as always, the average person is going to get completely sunk. I'm going to be positive now, she says. Sure you will. HS2 from London to Birmingham will cost 396 million pounds per mile, making it one of the world's most expensive railways. In France, similar projects cost 46 million. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, there's less people in France. Fair. I don't know. Again, I don't know for sure, but like I just know there's usually ways to cut budgets if you really want to. U.S. military budget has helped U.S. be the world's biggest arms dealer, worth trillions. That just doesn't pay it back. So does it pay for it in taxes? Yeah. If we cut the military by even a tiny amount, we could fund so many essential good public services without compromising national security one iota. But the military is the only taxpayer-funded service too many Americans will allow. You're absolutely right. What if Canada invades? Yep. You got all of those mountaineers on moose ready to push right through that border. At the end of the day, if you have nuclear weapons, why worry? Don't need conventional warfare on a massive scale. I don't want to make this sound like rah rah America or anything, but who the fuck's going to invade the US? No one's invading the US. I'm not saying that there isn't a possibility of terrorist attacks and things like that. Obviously, there's always a possibility for that. I'm just saying, like, what country is building arms to invade the United States or declare war on the United States? In reality, no one. We have a $1 trillion friggin' budget for our military. We can pull people up and send people over and missiles, and we have all kinds of nukes. Like, no one's freaking. We don't need it. No one's attacking us. But if you're that scared that someone is, that you're putting $1 trillion into that budget, maybe it's what you're doing overseas that's causing that kind of animosity. Maybe you should think about that first. Anyways. Do you want to PM me? Do you mean DM? Bryson, email me at hicksondiaries.com, or you can DM me at on Instagram at Hickson Diaries. Either one. Whatever works best for you, because I don't know how you're going to be, taking any footage or anything. But I'm really curious as to how that's going to go down and what your experience will be. If you don't mind sharing, we appreciate it. I wish I didn't know who Steve Bannon was too, Boxon. Thank you so much for the super chat, Disco. I appreciate that. Very generous. British, when I said in the 90s, the Northern Line had a big maintenance project. In reality, those new trains didn't fit because they didn't use the blueprint specs, not accounting for subsidence over decades. Subsidence, not subsidence. Live in Kent long enough and you will get home county's accent. You think? I'm with you. Like, duh. He's literally deployed the United States Army on the friggin' American soil and he wants a peace prize. He didn't do anything. Mango Mussolini. He wishes he was as strong as Mussolini. He isn't. He's a freaking wimp. That's what 90% of this comes from. You guys see the South Park with Trump and Satan are a couple. There's a report that Americans aren't going to be able to afford food soon. I heard an interview of a politician who said, it's a politician or a presenter or something. They were saying that they actually had conversations with family members who were using charge cards to buy food because they couldn't afford it. Now, I know there's a cost of living crisis here in the UK, excuse me. I know that food prices are higher than you all are normally used to and everything, but let me tell you something. They are still much cheaper here than in the US. Like a loaf of bread in the US is like $3 or $4. it's really, really expensive. Unless it's like the gross processed food is really cheap. That's why that's why so many people are unhealthy in America. They can't afford it anyway. So it's really bad. It's really, really bad. It's gonna get to like depression points in America. Probably not exclusive to America, too, because once America's economy falls, a lot of other economies are going to start falling. So it's really not good. Everyone, please be safe. Take care of yourselves. Stock up. Make good choices with your money because economic strife is just terrible to live under. From a U.S. government source? Yeah, that's probably true. I'm sure it's true. Hi, Manny. Thank you so much for the super chat, Manny. That's very generous of you. And thank you for your kind words saying, Manny says, I love these live streams and thank you so much. And I'm really glad you guys are getting something out of it too. I enjoy it so much. As tired as I am most of the time, just from like, this is usually my downtime, right? This is usually my coming down time. So I usually get a little bit tired around this time, but I always push through and try to do these lives because I enjoy interacting with you guys so much. Dalrath says the Greens' possible change of leadership is built into their constitution. They have to have a vote for leader every 2 years. The one before the one they've just had was put off due to the last GE. Oh, okay. That's something I didn't know, so that makes sense. Oh, why they're banging downstairs. Okay, I think it's okay. An ancestor took Manila to the 7 Years' War. Whilst Tommy Robinson has suspicious links to both Russia and Thiel. Peter Thiel is another one to watch out for. No one needs to invade the U.S. It will betray its principles and citizens just for money, far cheaper than weapons. Yeah. Imogen says the U.S. $1 trillion budget is to buy influence around the world. That's why Trump says he doesn't like NATO. He is reluctant to shut down American bases there. Yeah, it's a lot of the military budget is actually like private contractors who sell weaponry and like defense mechanisms, parts for planes, stuff like that. That's a lot of it. I know a lot of it doesn't go to the veterans, and I can say I saw that firsthand. So we can invade the good parts. Who needs the Dakotas? Nobody cares about the Dakotas. Oh, God. Malibu has a food bank? Holy shit. Excuse my language, but damn. For those of you who don't know, Malibu, California is extremely affluent. It's like where all the big stars have their beach houses and stuff. Like it is very, very affluent. So if they have a food bank, that is a problem, dude. Woo. I saw a guy, DC Allen. Hi, welcome. Thank you for being here. I saw a guy going on about the price of eggs and bread. Both were $4 plus change in an average shop. Again, I'm not saying it's not expensive here. I'm just saying that, like, a lot of people like to say, yeah, but you make more money in America. Not everybody. I mean, the average wage is higher, but not everybody makes that. And we have to pay for a lot of other stuff you guys don't have to pay for. Oh my gosh, what an amazing compliment. Thanks, Manny. That's one of my favorite things about this too, is like it takes me a while to get through the comments because you guys are having so many conversations amongst yourselves, which I actually love because the whole point is to like create the community vibe, right? That's why you all want to hit that join button and become members, so you get even more of this. Fabulous. I love it. And thank you for saying that. It's an amazing compliment, Danny. Yeah, I heard something like that. Like everybody's corrupt. Like there's nothing. There's nobody's not corrupt. What's wrong with the Dakotas? Nothing. There's nothing there. There's just nothing there. They're really far north. They're close to the Canadian border, Maja, and there's nothing there. I think Fargo, that movie Fargo, was in the Dakotas. Malibu staff live in LA proper. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Thank you for answering that question, Proxon. They live in the east side. East side. Yeah, they don't live in Malibu, trust me. All right. There's a good way to end it. One thing wrong. Christy, no. All right, guys, that's it for me tonight. I'm going to end it there. We didn't get to do the video for Mick MacArthur, but he didn't get to join us. So I'm going to see if I can wait until next week for that one. But thanks for all the education on the Powerhouse Rail and all the other political stuff. Definitely want to thank you all for doing this, coming out tonight. Don't forget, we got vlogs coming out Thursday. This Thursday is the British Art of Complaining. And there'll be another vlog on Sunday. Of course, there's the double tap of the members only Mind the Culture Gap this weekend. So it's a really good time to become a member. If you want to, hit that join button if you can. You'll get a Saturday and a Sunday podcast this week. Just don't forget to hit the like button on your way out, and make sure that you check the community tab regularly, because there's always stuff going on and I make a lot of announcements there. Thank you all so much for joining me. Have a fantastic rest of your week. Stay safe, stay well fed and warm. And I hope I can see you guys next Tuesday, where the show automatically gets better just because you guys are there. Love y'all. Thanks for everything. Bye.